Gomexus aluminium scope rings, right now on Pirate Firearms and Reloading.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I had a company reach out called Gomexus. I assume that's how you say their name. They didn't really give me a lot of information, which I'm not mad about, because if I'm going to do a review for you guys, I'm going to do an honest one. So they basically reached out and said, hey, we've got scope rings. If you jump on Amazon or even hit their website, you'll find they do a lot of handles and reels and fishing equipment, mainly sort of in that sort of CNC type area, right? Make some really cool looking handles for, you know, your major brand fishing reels, and they just seem to be getting into the sort of, you know, shooting space, and they've got scope rings now. So they reached out and said, hey, look, we've got these new scope rings. Do you want to do a review? So they've sent them to me free of charge. There's no exchange of money. By the time this video comes out, I hopefully have a discount code for you guys in the description. But this is a straight up honest review. They haven't paid me for this review. There's sort of some mention they might give me some commission based on people using my unique discount code, but hey, I'm not worried about that. I'd rather give you guys just the honest opinion. So they've sent me some 30mm rings in the high category. So they're 1.26 inches or 32mm from the base to the center. So they are a reasonably high ring, a little bit higher than what I'm going to need for this application, but it's a good rifle to give it a test on anyway. Very, very nice packaging. So I have actually opened these, but I'm going to show you a couple of things. So nice, simple packaging, a slide out box. Now, sadly, obviously in shipping, the two little foam pads that were meant to be glued to this backer have decided to give up. And so they've shaken all the way around from, I guess, their factory in China to me here in New Zealand. So this will be a really good test for how good the anodizing is. So they're 7075 aluminum, type 3 hard coat anodized. There's a few little things that they need to probably maybe spell check. Upon taking it out of that first cover pack, you can obviously see the rings. It's got more details here on the back. So inside here, yeah, we can see where those pads have come unglued. So we get two scope rings, and there's a little compartment down the bottom here. It's in there, little compartment that gives you your T25 Torx. I have to say, well done. Torx is the way to go in terms of fasteners. I won't bore you with the details, but basically there's way less chance of stripping out a correctly manufactured Torx rather than like a hex head. Nice simple sort of two-way key if you don't have torque wrenches. I'm going to be using my Fix-It Sticks kit because I want to do it properly and apply the best amount of torque and give these rings a fair shot at what's going on. Now on the side of the ring, it says 20 inch-pounds, which I think, and 30 inch-pounds here for the base screws. I'm only going to be putting 15 inch-pounds on the ring caps because that's what the scope is rated for. Most scope manufacturers these days will actually say what the maximum torque for the ring caps is. 30 for the base screws, really good. So these are obviously quite lightweight rings, even though they are high rings. Do have some slight reliefs in here to reduce a little bit of weight. Overall, finish really good. As you can see here, there's no real scratches from these things being rattling around in the packet. There's maybe a little, no, that's just dust. So there's no marks on them. So the anodizing is obviously very, very good. So I'm going to set these up on the rifle here. Now, although it's got a bit of paint on it, the two surfaces I'm clamping on do not have paint on them. And this is an MDT rail, so I know it's a nice accurate rail. So I'm not going to alter my testing procedure. What I do have here is scope ring alignment bars. Essentially, you clamp them in each ring, and they are obviously machined down to a point at the end, and the 2 points should line up perfectly. If you have bad scope rings, they'll be off to the side. So that's the test I'm going to do to prove the manufacturing accuracy of these rings. I think they should be pretty good because this is kind of what these guys do, but we're going to test it and prove it anyway. The other important thing on the instructions they did mention is to make sure that the specific ring cap stays with the base. I understand that. You know, they're precision machine things. You do want to get them in the right place. Most scope ring manufacturers will tell you now to do that. Some of them will even tell you which is the front and the rear ring and what orientation to put them in. Right. So without further ado, we are going to get on with this. Now, normally I would use Loctite on all fasteners. I'm not going to do that today because I'm testing the rings. I'm not interested in how Loctite works. I know it works. Before we go and throw them on, I want to show you something. They've actually put the recoil lug in the bottom of the ring. Some of your other cheap scope rings, and I'm not saying that these are cheap rings, I'd describe them as a value for money ring. Like, for the quality of them and the price you're paying, you really can't go wrong. I'm being very impressed straight out of the box. Your other sort of cheaper rings that have this single bolt through are relying on the actual bolt to be the recoil lug for this ring. The problem with that is Picatinny rail is cut square and a bolt is round. So you're not getting the best recoil lug surface versus if you're actually machining a recoil lug into the bottom of the scope ring. So that's a bonus automatically. Normally I go, if I go of lower quality rings, if you like, I'll go with 6 bolt main caps, or, okay, my car friends are gonna laugh at me right now. 6 bolt rings versus 4 bolt rings. But to have a 2 bolt rail interface, I think is fantastic. That's really sharing the load between those 2 fasteners and ensuring that we're staying accurate, especially with that machined recoil lug. Just as I'm fastening them up to 30 inch-pounds as per what the ring suggests, I'm just going to apply a little bit of force forward, so I'm setting the recoil lug into the rail. So we will use the 20 inch-pound limiter on the ring caps for the testing process. When we actually mount the scope, we'll drop that down to 15. Right, to give you an understanding, that side on, of course, and then we're going to go to vertical. There might be a small amount of left and right cant, but there is definitely no up and down cant. I'll tell you right now, I've seen way more expensive scope rings have more deviation than this. I don't actually have a way to measure this in any way that's quantifiable or accurate, but I'll tell you now, that is very, very good. Just to prove a point, I did actually move these rings one section forward just to prove that it wasn't the rail. They have the exact same deviation or lack of deviation, whether they're further forward or further back on the rail. So I'm pretty stoked with that. that proves that these rings have been precision made and they're not just something that's slapped together. So I'm going to take the alignment bars out now, and I am going to put the scope in, and we're going to mount the scope up. And then it's only fair that I take it and shoot it, make sure it holds 0, make sure the scope doesn't move anyway. I will witness mark all of the fasteners, make sure none of those are backing out with the ring specified torque specs, with the exception of the ring caps, like I said, which will be 15 inch-pounds. For this alignment test, I've done 20. Very happy with that. The scope has definitely seen a life. I still know it tracks well, holds 0, all the important things to make this test actually viable. It's just, yeah, it's seen days. It's got little bits of Loctite residue in that. The areas that I have clamped are 100% clean and back to the factory finish. It even got a paint job at one point with a flat black color. I'd hate to tell you how many rifles the scope's been on over the years, but it still holds true and it's a good testing scope for me. So I preset all my eye relief in that before we got on the video so I didn't bore you. So that's the setup of the scope. I'm going to go and test it, just make sure it holds 0. But so far I'm very, very happy with the rings. So now off camera, I'm going to quickly go and witness mark all the fasteners, and I'm going to go out and shoot it in the next couple of days. Like I said, do a 0 test, just make sure it holds that 0 under recoil. I don't see why they wouldn't. And then I'll give you my final thoughts after that.
Okay, so after a quick range session with these rings, I'm still very impressed. So none of the fasteners backed out. Like I said, as per the rings, I did 30 inch-pounds for the ring to the rail, and they recommended 20 on the ring caps. I dropped that to 15 based on the scope. Now, just for reference, the scope was already zeroed to the rifle with different rings. They were a lower ring, but still, 30mm Picatinny rings. So I did not re-zero the scope shooting these groups. The two-shot group in the center, that was actually shot first. Now, these are actually slightly different loads as well. There's, I think, 0.2 grains between each of these, so not a massive difference. But clearly from these groups, you can see it's holding 0. They're all giving me pretty much the same correction as well to zero the rifle, alteration to 0. That's the bottom line in each of these Ballistic X readouts. It's fair to say the scope holds 0 without incident. I probably put, I want to say 30 or 40 rounds down it. Something to note, at this stage, they do not do different height rings, and they only do a 30mm ring. I have talked to the rep who first got in contact with me and said, hey, look, you probably need to do, a lower, medium, and a high set of rings. This is going to be a fantastic product. Like I said, I really hope they come out with those other 2 heights. Most hunters, like myself, when I'm building a rifle, particularly if it's going to go anywhere near bush or scrub, I want that scope as low as possible to reduce the chance of snagging it on things. I'm not so worried about it looking goofy, but also the other thing too is that if you're hunting with a traditional style stock that does not have an adjustable comb or adjustable cheek piece, then having that scope as low as possible will get you a better cheek weld on the stock without having to add spacers, screw on, cheek pads, things like that. Value for money product, it's fantastic. So if you check in the link description down below, there will be a discount code they've kindly offered to anybody who's watched this video. And yeah, get some nice scope rings at a good price. Thanks for watching and happy shooting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Catch you next time.